on, guys? Welcome back into the channel. In today's video, I'm going to be giving you two sets of sliders that we are using on College Football 25, depending on whether you want to play on All-American or Heisman difficulty level. Now, I personally recommend that you play on All-American, utilize these sliders and maybe adjust them for yourselves however you need to in order to make it competitive, but also make it realistic. I feel like the best gameplay from College Football 25 by far and away comes from All-American, and if you can play with the sliders and make it work for you, that's the route to go. If you're looking for a much more difficult experience, a little bit less realistic or true to college football, then you're looking for Heisman. But nonetheless, I'm going to give you both sets of sliders today. For All-American, this is what we're playing on. This is the first set of sliders. Quarterback accuracy at 55. There are some things here that are just turned up a little bit to make things a little bit more realistic. We have pass blocking up to 60. This is a really consistent rating for us. It has been really effective. You still get pass rush. You still get a lot of pressure, especially from CPU teams and whatnot, especially from other users, but you're able to at least sit in the pocket for a second or two and let plays develop downfield. Wide receiver catching up to 55. This did not need to be increased earlier on in the life cycle of the game, but for some reason they have made some major tweaks to the gameplay and made players drop a lot more footballs. And don't get me wrong, I don't mind dropping footballs, especially with lower end schools within College Football 25, because that's more realistic to college football. But when we're still dropping footballs on 55 catching, then you know things are maybe a little bit excessive on whatever the base tuning is that they've done to the game. Run blocking up to 55 just to help with the intelligence of the offensive line whenever run blocking. Not so much because they aren't effective at run blocking when they get on guys, but more so that they're just not very intelligent at getting to the right players. Again, something that they've tuned. The run blocking was really good in this game for a while, and then they tuned it, and for some reason it's not as good as it used to be, so you kind of have to make up for that. We have the fumble slider set to 50. I haven't noticed too many issues with college football with fumbles being too few or too many. So if you want to reduce fumbles, again, this is an inverse slider. You increase it. Think about it as the new name that they've changed it to in Madden, as a ball security slider. So you increase this for better ball security. You decrease it for less ball security, meaning more fumbles. So if you want to see more fumbles, turn this slider down. Anyway, moving on to the rest of the ratings. Pass defense reaction timing, 52, and pass coverage, 55, interceptions, 30. This kind of makes it so that your defenders aren't quite as dumb on All-American. They'll react a little bit better to passes coming their way. They'll be a little bit more sticky in coverage, but the game is still pretty wide open on All-American difficulty. And then the 30 interception slider makes it so you pretty much always have to click on and utilize your skill to get those interceptions. Not saying that your CPU defenders won't get those interceptions, but you're better off clicking on most times in order to try to guarantee the timing of it. And then tackling, I actually recommend tackling being a bit higher. We're testing out just the base 50 right now to see how things have changed within the game, and 50 is not playing bad. I like playing something closer to 55, 60, 65 because I feel like it improves the pursuit angles within the game. Not only does it increase tackling, but it increases that pursuit capability, like I said. And then CPU, we've obviously increased their skill capability, 65 QB accuracy, 55 pass block, 55 wide receiver catching, 65 run blocking, and they're still not that good at run blocking, so that could potentially even go up. 50 fumbles, 48 pass defense reaction time, 53 pass coverage. The CPU plays differently than user defenders do. Pass coverage still needs to be a little bit more sticky on All-American. However, they react a lot better to the football than a user's defenders would. So we turn that down a little bit. Same interceptions at 30 and tackling up to 60 for the CPU. As far as special teams are concerned, 52 on everything except for punt accuracy. I just feel like the power and accuracy of kicks and punts and field goals within this game needs to be a slightly higher. This still is pretty difficult to play on, pretty difficult to make certain field goals and whatnot, so it doesn't change it a whole lot, but just makes the margin for error a little bit better. We play on injuries at 40. To be honest with you, I feel like this could even go up a little bit. Fatigue on 65 to ensure that players are subbing in and subbing out. Minimum player speed threshold on 55. Speed is a little bit easier to abuse on All-American, so something that you kind of have to close that gap on. You increase this slider to close that gap a little bit and make speed matter just a little bit less. It is still really helpful to have, but this just closes that gap a little bit. We used to play on increased penalty sliders. We've noticed that with the latest tuning within the game, that's not a good idea. I mean, we played on raised false starts, raised offsides. You could literally draw a team offsides like every single play. It was ridiculous. So we turned everything back to base and dropped holding and face mask down to 45. And we are still seeing holding calls from time to time. So that's kind of where we want to be at with that. We turn off roughing the kicker, running into the kicker, and illegal contact. And then as far as sliders are concerned with Heisman difficulty, it's going to look a little bit different. Quarterback accuracy 55, pass blocking 60, wide receiver catching 55. That's pretty much all the same, but players are a little bit more competent on Heisman difficulty in some regards. So run blocking we've left at 50. Fumbles we've increased to 60, meaning this will see less fumbles because it's easier, in my opinion and in our experience, to force fumbles on Heisman difficulty. So ball security is better in this one, turned up to 60. Pass defense reaction time turned down to 42, but pass coverage up to 54. So again, a little bit more sticky in coverage, but not so easily breaking to glitch to intercept footballs. Interceptions down to 25. And actually, while we're here, I'm going to increase this to 30 because we've been seeing a lot of dropped interceptions, too many. Tackling all the way up to 70, and this works out really, really well. Trust me, it improves the game tremendously. On the CPU side of things, quarterback accuracy turned down to 45, 50 pass block, 50 wide receiver catching, 55 run blocking, 60 fumbles for them as well. Pass defense reaction time down to 42, pass coverage down to 45, interceptions down to 25. We're actually going to turn that to 30 to match, and tackling at 70 for them as well. And these sliders play phenomenal within College Football 25 for Heisman difficulty. Same special teams sliders. The injuries and fatigue is a little bit different. This one is set to 35 on injuries, 75 on fatigue, but still 55 minimum players speed threshold. And that could potentially change a little bit for you guys. Heisman's a little bit of a different beast, and the CPU tends to be really sticky in coverage, so you kind of need speed to get separation at times, so you can kind of play around with that if you feel that you need to. We have base penalty sliders on for this one, but still roughing the kicker, running into the kicker, and illegal contact turned off. In both slider sets, we have XP turned to 150 for every single position, 200 for kickers and punters. Again, you could play around with this on a position-by-position basis, but in general, players do not progress quickly enough within College Football 25 in our experience, and this just helps to even it out a little bit and make progression make a little bit more sense and allow you to build your team up a little bit more comparatively if you're not just Ohio State or Alabama or Georgia or something. If you're some other team, you could actually kind of compete in building your team and actually being able to progress your players. And in both dynasties, we are actually utilizing 7-minute quarter length, 25-second minimum play clock time. We've changed that setting a few times. This is ultimately what we've settled on as kind of the best middle ground for everybody. Play call cooldown set to 3 and 5 for Heisman here. Play call cooldown 3, play call limit 5. On All-American, we were on 2 cooldown and 6 play call limit, so relatively the same. I think we were just kind of messing around with some different things, and those felt like a pretty good spot for both of those dynasties. So with that being said, let me know what your sliders look like within College Football 25. Do you play on any type of a slider? Do you agree, disagree with any of these sliders? Let me know in the comment section down below. But this has been the most effective we've gotten as far as sliders are concerned in College Football 25, and they've produced some really awesome games. Just to kind of show you what the results have looked like the past number of weeks with this slider set, specifically on Heisman: 35-27 against Miami, 28-14 versus Louisville, 51-50 versus a user Boise State, 21-17 versus Florida, 26-21 versus a user North Carolina, and losing 41-39 to Alabama. So really tight user games. some honestly very competitive CPU games as well. These Heisman sliders work really well if you want to see competitive gameplay like that, so can't recommend them enough. And this is why you see me making college football videos and not making Madden videos, because you can actually get some really awesome gameplay that is pretty close to actual college football on both difficulties if you really put in the time. But like I said, leave all that feedback down below. Leave a like, comment, and subscribe. As always, I'll see you in the next video, and I hope you have a good one.